Earlier this year, I was trying to convince my family to fly Spirit Airlines. They have never allowed me before. Well, they did once, and then after that, they said never again. But it was a lot cheaper. So I said, I will prove to you that it is safe. And I said, and I better not say it here, but I said, okay, Google. Is Spirit Airlines safe? And it said, yes, Spirit Airlines is safe. They have a perfect record for fatalities. Okay, I hope you understand why I started with that. I'm going to come back to it. As Steve said, God commanded the Israelites, "V'asu li mikdash v'shachanti b'tocham." Make me a sanctuary so that I may dwell among them. The rabbis famously ask, why doesn't the line say, make me a sanctuary so that I may dwell in it? Why does it say among them? And the answer is because God wants to dwell among us. The material space is not what God needs. God needs community gathering together, engaging in collective activity, making community. The material space is for the community to meet, and then God's Spirit can rest. It's the people gathering that invites God's Spirit, not the walls. If the Prince of Egypt were a more complete story, the Pharaoh stories, plagues, and Exodus through the Ten Commandments would just comprise the first act. The second act would be, given the length of how long this takes in the Torah, the second act would be God's instructions and wishes for a communal building of the Mishkan, followed by its joyful collective building. Everyone contributing truma, some material, so that everyone's spirit is infused in the material structure. The third act would be instructions for activities that take place within it, from festivals to healing to communal sharing to atonement. And the fourth act would be lots of complaining and rebelliousness. We are stubborn people after all. And the Israelites get some lectures, and then they're allowed to enter the land. A lot of that is material structure and the activities that take place within. It's a message that I don't think we take to heart enough. We have grown accustomed to thinking of synagogues as, at least I have, as the Jewish version of cathedrals, a place of impressive architecture and quiet contemplation. But the synagogue prototype, the Mishkan, was neither. It was an open-air courtyard with fabric walls and inner tents, a place of hustle and bustle, and even when it was embodied in a permanent temple in Jerusalem, it was far from a place of quiet contemplation. It was not a place of serenity and inner peace. It was a place of meeting people, some familiar, some strangers, a place where personal news was shared, where people walking up the down staircase were consoled by the people walking the correct way. And they shared their news, whether you knew them or not. You consoled them or were consoled, whether you knew them or not. It was a place of declaring your gratitude and sharing your offering. It was a place of declaring your need and having the grateful share their portion with you at their table, in front of God's table, so that bad luck and good fortune were shared. In time, the spirit of the temple extended to the study hall and to the synagogue, so people debated together, sang together, studied together, offered their individual prayers in the company of others, gathering for Yom Kippur to atone together. There's something about a communal physical space dedicated to community and to our higher selves that cannot be replicated. So why was it needed? Well, the Torah seems to indicate that we are all more comfortable in our home tent. And when the Mishkan, located in the middle of hundreds and hundreds of family and tribal tents arrayed around it on all sides, it always operated against the centrifugal force pulling people to their own homes, their own comfort zones. On this holiday, we acknowledge that we have a Yetzer Hara, a drive that inclines us toward that which relates to me, not that which relates to us. We are, in the words of the Haftarah tomorrow, Vayelech shovav b'derech libo, stubbornly following the path of our own hearts. The physical material space of the Mishkan, the temple, the synagogue, acts as a center creating a centripetal force, a call, buttressed by commandment, to make physical connection, face to face, panim el panim, with each other. And that is a necessary component to bringing out our higher selves. These days, the material aspect of community is becoming increasingly rare. We have given in to the centrifugal force of each to ourselves. We are living on our phones rather than interacting in physical spaces. Our students get computers as children and can't handwrite a correct or legible sentence entering high school, nor finish a complete book without giving in to boredom or confusion. And our phones and electronic devices are attuned to cater directly to you. I was impressed this year when a group really started, and many of whom are members of the Synagogue of Younger Families, started a group in the Ann Arbor Public School District to bring to bear issues that we have with the school district to keep their focus on education. And I think that this year when they presented at a board meeting, and maybe people were expecting something to be about being Jewish or anti-Semitism, they presented, why can't Ann Arbor Public Schools take a no cell phone pledge? I was proud of them. Our phones cater directly to us. It learns what calls to your heart and offers you more opportunities and distractions to be validated in it. We've raised our children on it. I can see in it green eggs and ham Judaism. My child likes Legos. Can you make your course connected to Legos? They want to come and learn about their religion? How about Harry Potter and Judaism? It's a really good suggestion, Rabbi. And even if you make them come, I can see it in their eyes. It's your job as a teacher to persuade them to give you their attention. Attention is no longer freely given. It's green eggs and ham. If you do it this way and in the way that I want, I will give you my attention. If it's not in the way that I want, then you won't have my attention. And why shouldn't people feel entitled to getting the things that they want? Because I can do that using my electronics. I can see what I want to see, and I can be validated in what I want to be validated in. And I'm not blaming our children. I'm blaming ourselves. The promise of social media, of scintillating conversation and community, has given over to a lot of self-congratulatory babble. You probably know that I was not on social media, and my family's not on social media, but I confess that I experienced such despair since October 7th, and the anti-Semitism that followed, that I felt like I needed it. I needed to read articles by people that articulated things that I agreed with. I needed to feel like there was another voice that saw things the way I did. And then I would get more messages just like that one, and then I would read the comments, and they would spiral. 10 comments, 50 comments, 100 comments, 300 comments, star, 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 heart, heart, heart. All agreeing. Maybe one that doesn't, and then everyone clobbers them. It's eerily similar to the story of the Tower of Babel. Someone starts a chain of thought, and then others who wholeheartedly agree build the next level. And if it's something I agree with, I add a heart emoji or a thumbs up, or I retweet it. And so the chain gets longer and longer and higher. But has any real conversation taken place? It's interesting that the rabbis comment about the Tower of Babel, that one of the problems was that some of the workers would delight in pushing other workers off the tower. Anyone who has read social media conversations know that it seems to bring out the one who wants to push the others over the ledge. It brings that out of them. And then the punishment of the Tower of Babel is each to his own language. I always used to think that that was a strange punishment, diversity. Don't we value it? And now I see what the Torah has been trying to say. You build these towers. What happens? The punishment is that each person only talks to the other person that shares the same language. And they are deaf to the experience of others. They only focus on their own identity, unable to really be in community with others who think differently. As Abraham Joshua Heschel predicted, we will produce more and more words, but we will not be able to truly inhabit even a single word. The promise of community through electronics has always been a Mephistophelian bargain. Mark Zuckerberg famously promised that social media would create community and friendships and vast social circles. And where has this led? Well, he more recently promised that social media, along with artificial intelligence, can solve the loneliness epidemic, which he does not take any credit for creating, by having artificial friends. And it has already started. Why have a real boyfriend or girlfriend or partner, one who, in Aviva Zernberg's words, is a true partner because they're not a perfect fit? But you can now have it all. And people by the millions will. A virtual best friend, a virtual life partner. They ask me about myself. No one else does. They really see me. They really know me. They are, we know, trained to read and interpret emotional cues so they can produce the most pleasing and emotionally satisfying responses. They are, and it's in their name, artificial. AI is the new religion, and it has its competing priestly lineages, squabbling over control of the AI temple, not unlike the battles over priestly lineages of our own temple according to our prophets. And these new priests competing to lead are Altman and Suskever, Zuckerberg, Karp. If it turns out a man named Musk was born Jewish, I'm converting out. AI and its priesthood say that they are giving us tools. And it always starts that way. But in the end, in the name of profit, which is the cause of God's anger in tomorrow's Haftarah, they are promising fulfillment in each of our own isolation. People would be visiting the temples of AI, conversing with its avatars. Already they are going down mazes of religious talk, asking them the philosophical questions of the world and about the gods and about reality. They will be going down the maze of idolatry and artificial relationships. These are idols. They are, in the words of our prophets, no gods. Yes, they will have mouths that talk and eyes that see, but they are not gods. They promise us community, but enfold us in isolation. I know many will respond to me by saying, you don't realize all the good that they do. But this is Yom Kippur. I'm allowed to bring a little bit of the challenge, a little bit of the gevurah. I have enjoyed these spaces. I am part of the generation that was told by my doctoral advisor in his work 20 years ago, all the Jews, they're going to demand that they get their Judaism tailored specifically to them. If they don't find you a good teacher, they will find a podcast. If they don't like the songs and the prayers of the service, they will find a playlist that suits them. We don't need to be in physical spaces, they will say. We don't need to join synagogues. What I am saying is that our avatars, publicly and in the media, they are images of ourselves. Sometimes we like what we see in them, but really, are they not temptations of the ego to separate a shadow of who we are from who we really are and what we can really be. I've been wondering this year, especially with Mission Mishkan, what is the role of a physical structure, and why were we commanded not to retreat to our individual tents, but to go in person, to share our news and to hear others' news, to get to know people we never would have met in our clan? It is because it humanizes us. The synagogue building is, and the tradition is already inviting us in, it is to be where we are disconnected from the false gods. It is the place where I am free to be the spontaneous person that I am. It sets me up not for someone reading me to tell me what my next step should be, they think I am. It prepares me for the unexpected, that which I cannot know. It is not avatar to avatar, but it is face to face. Our digital self is not our true self. Our true self can only happen in face-to-face relationship. Our higher selves can only come from being in community, which is not a group that thinks just like me or pretends to, but a place of unexpected interaction, spontaneity, debate, discomfort, shared experience, openness, and a respect that can only come from being with real others, not what they choose to show. Respect from being challenged when you least expect it. There's something that we just can't hide when we're in person. True holiness can only come from seeing yourself as a part of the whole, and that is the call of Yom Kippur and its holiness code, that my fate is intertwined with everyone else's. What is my offering? What are their offerings? How can we together in person find salvation for ourselves and for our people? There are people in our community, as I said in Rosh Hashanah, who hold opinions that are really hard for me to believe and accept that even another Jew can hold. But I don't get to choose with whom I am in community. And that is the lesson of the Mishkan. I am called to share myself. I am called to let them share their selves. All the different tribes arrayed around it, but they all belong to that building, and they are required to. I am made better by being in community with them, and they change me a little. I may not choose it, but I am the better for it. Would the AI gods do that for me? Shana Tova.